In the short but profound book of Philemon, Paul is writing to Philemon about the runaway slave by the name of Onesimus. It's an interesting story because Onesimus went to Rome, and you got to remember that Rome was a big city. I mean, it has over 1 million people at that time. And for a man to find Paul in Rome, what a task that would have been. I'm beginning to think there has to be some providence behind it, don't you? And in the verse 15 of Philemon, Paul said there, perhaps, don't know for sure, but maybe he departed, that is Onesimus, for a while. He had left, he's a runaway slave. And by the way, that's a very dangerous thing to do back in those days. And if you're caught, boy, there are some severe consequences. And so Onesimus finds Paul in Rome, and he's writing back to Philemon, and he says, perhaps he departed for a while, and for this purpose. Well, what was the purpose? That you might receive him as a brother. I get to thinking that he was converted in Rome, don't you think? Now, Thomas Butts tells a story. It's a rather interesting story. It's concerning a young woman who was called at work from the babysitter, and the news isn't good because her child is sick with fever. And so she hurries on home. She stops at the pharmacy to get some medicine, and she goes back out into the parking lot to get into her car, and she left the keys in the car, and the car was locked. And she prays to God. And as she's praying to God, she looks down, and there just happens to be a coat hanger, but it was an old rusty old coat hanger. And good night, she didn't even know how to use it, but she heard that you could break into a car with a coat hanger. And just about then, a fellow on a motorcycle, dirty, greasy, and a skull helmet on his head. And he says to her, can I help you, ma'am? And she says, my daughter's sick, and I got to get home, and I locked the keys in my car. And within a minute, that old boy had that car open, and she said to him, you're such a nice man. Thank you for helping me. And he said, you don't want to know something? I'm not a nice man. I just got out of prison for an hour ago for stealing cars. And she said, thank you, God, for sending me a professional. Perhaps, huh? Interesting, isn't it? Perhaps God is working in your life more than you know. See you tomorrow.